All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Wayfind Marketing Live. And on Tuesdays, when we do this, we focus on navigating business. And so today, Tuesday afternoon, April 21st, we've got a great show ahead of us. Trey Stafford will be joining us here in just a few minutes. And if you know Trey, if you've met Trey, he's got a fantastic story. Just great entrepreneur, great person of integrity, and looking forward to having him here in just a few minutes. Now, for our viewers, for our listeners, thank you for joining us. Really, the whole purpose of Wayfind Marketing Live was really birthed a little over a month ago with the desire to do two things. And number one is to encourage business owners and nonprofit leaders. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of noise. There's all sorts of different things taking place. And so we want to make sure that this is a place where you can get some encouragement, but not just be encouraged. I want to make sure that you get some practical, useful tips, information, things that you can use to run your business. Right now, as a lot of people are in survival mode, and some people are thinking towards what's down the road. We want to make sure that you've got tools and resources that you need. So if you're joining us on YouTube or Facebook where we're live streaming this, feel free to add any comments or questions. We would love to interact with you guys. Looks like we've got several people coming in. It looks like Malik and John coming in from Facebook. So thanks for joining us. We're glad that you are here. And so if you have questions for us, please feel free to ask those questions. If something stands out and you want to make a comment about that, definitely do that. So one thing I want to do, again, so kind of this whole idea of encourage and equip is I want to provide just practical tools and tips. And so one of the things that I want to show you guys, just a practical thing, especially because I know right now a lot of people are working from home, and if you're used to being in an office and now all of a sudden you're working at home and you've got distractions, maybe you have your spouse or your partner, you have kids, or just being somewhere in a different environment. There is a tool that I use and some other folks that I know use to kind of manage time. And so I'm just going to share this real quick because this is just a handy thing. It's called the Pomodoro technique. So again, this falls under part of us trying to help equip you. Pomodoro technique, and yes, it is. It came from a tomato timer that a guy named Francesco used when he was in college. And what he did is he started breaking tasks down into 25 increments. So if you do a search for Pomodoro technique, Pomodoro timer, you'll find that there are all kinds of apps. But just as a practical way to get things done, to focus in small bite-sized pieces, it's a great technique. I use it pretty regularly. And so I want to go ahead and share that with you. Now here in just a moment, we'll go ahead and get Trey on here. All right. So let me give you background on Trey. So Trey and I connected probably about a year to a year and a half ago. He and I are both in a Vistage group, and Vistage it's a peer group that meets once a month, and we really become a group of friends who help each other run their businesses, run their nonprofits more effectively, because now we have this group of people who we can go to. And so Trey joined this group probably about a year ago, and he and I have had a lot of conversations, and just a fantastic guy. And he got started with business actually in college. And so he has had some great experiences. He started multiple companies. And the cool thing is he's 26. And so he's got a ton of experience. And Trey is one of those guys, if you're around him, he just has this contagious energy and enthusiasm that just spills over into everything that he does. And he really has a desire to make life better for other people. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Trey in. Trey, how are you? While Trey's getting dialed in,
I'm dealing with a technical nightmare over here. I'm dealing literally with technical nightmares. Hold on. My internet goes out right before this, and then now I'm on my phone and I'm getting phone calls, and now I can't hear you, Steve. So I'm gonna literally pop out and come right back.
Okay. Well, while we're waiting on Trey to come back in, and this is a good example of, if you are an entrepreneur, if you run a nonprofit, this is a day in the life. I mean, this is what it's like running a business. Things are going to happen. Things are unexpected. And so we'll get Trey back in here in just a second. I know he lost his internet, and so now he's trying to get connected back in with his phone. But so as you think about where you are in the life of your business, think about maybe a question or two that you'd like to ask Trey. You can ask me if you want, and we would love to kind of share this journey with you guys. So far, I tell you what, if you are watching, we've had a couple of people comment already. If you'll just type into the comments your name and kind of where you're coming from, or maybe the name of your business, it'd be great to see some of the folks who are out there. So I know we've got John and Malik. Looks like Malik is coming in from Pakistan. So I know John is here in Memphis. All right, so here's Trey. Let's see. All right,
I'm
Trey.
back. I made it.
All right.
Man, what a journey.
If this is going to happen with anybody, I'm not surprised that this is happening. Just show the adaptability and just like I was just saying when you were getting logged back in. This is just like, this is what it means to be an entrepreneur. Things blow up, things go completely unexpected, and no internet. Although you get that cool little dinosaur game.
Yeah, I get that cool dinosaur game from Google. So,
well, Trey, why don't you go and just start? Give us a little bit of your background. Tell us a little bit about, because I know your journey got started when you were in college. You've owned several companies. You're involved in a couple of different. Not only do you have your agency, but you've launched Gravity Memphis, which I definitely want you to spend some time talking about. But just share a little bit about your journey, what got you to where you are. What are some of the things you've learned? And anyways, go ahead and take it.
Absolutely, for sure. So a lot of my entrepreneur journey started, it really kicked off when I was 20 years old. I had just taken a trip to Italy, Germany, and France for the summer for like a month-long trip. And I had spent every dime, nickel, and penny that I'd ever earned or saved or made. And I was so broke at the end of the trip that I couldn't even buy a Snickers bar. Like literally my card got declined on a Snickers bar in the Paris airport. And I decided at that moment, I was like, I don't know what is going to change, but something is going to change, because I'm never going to put myself either one in a financial position like this, but two, I'm also going to find ways where I can go and enjoy the style of trip that I did, while also generating an income at the same time, right?
Although there is sort of this irony of this really nice trip to Europe and going broke on that trip. There's a certain irony to that.
Oh, it was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So I'm back and I'm working and still trading time for money. And I was approached with a direct sales network marketing opportunity. And it was the only opportunity that I had in front of me. I took it and I ran with it for 6 to 8 months, had 200 distributors in 10 different states at 20 different universities selling energy drinks. And I learned a lot about two things: one, personal development, and then two, the value of networking and how your network can greatly determine your net worth. And so I've taken that same concept from that time period when I was just 20 years old, and I've continued to run with it time and time again. That led to me trying to work very closely with small business owners in a couple of opportunities and positions. When I had an internship at ABB out here in East Memphis, I was buddy with the COO, and I'd go see him a couple times a week in his office and just try to learn and soak up as much knowledge and insight from people who were where I wanted to be. And that eventually led me to several opportunities, one of which was in my senior year of college, starting my own moving company. And quickly realized after about 8 months that I didn't enjoy the moving as much as I enjoyed generating the business online, which is where we generated 100% of our business was just from Google and Facebook and actually Craigslist, believe it or not.
Okay.
And so just utilizing what we had there to create some opportunity. And that's where I really fell in love with online marketing.
So let me ask you a quick question on that.
Yeah.
What was it that, so you're in college, and of course now it's the opportunities to start a business, the tools, the resources, the ecosystems are stronger now than they've ever been. So this is a fantastic time to start a business, just sort of in this where we are this past decade or so. So, but what led you to start a moving company? Of all the things to pick, why a moving company?
Well, a couple of things. For one, I had participated in, I was good at recruiting, right? The MLM thing would kind of prove that. And I had done a recruiting job, kind of like side hustle thing with a company called Bellhops out of Chattanooga. And so I had lined up 120 guys to go and do moves for this company. And then they decided that they didn't want to be in the Memphis market. And one of my friends who also was doing a lot of the moving with Bellhops just said, hey, let's do it. And at the time I was just working as a valet and I was trying to graduate college. And, I was like, you know what? I've always wanted to do something like this. Why don't I just go for it? Right. I mean, no better time than now. I don't have a whole lot of responsibility, a family or kids or anything like that. And I can always go and get a corporate job later if I want to.
Right.
So.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
Honestly, it was as ridiculous as it was just kind of like, this is what's in front of me. Why not?
It's just opportunistic. Kind
of not a whole lot of rhyme or reason to it.
Okay. No, great.
Probably why I ended up hating it after 8 months.
Well, one of the things that I'm seeing already is, and I think this is just, again, depending on where people are, our viewers, our listeners, in terms of where they are stages of career, what I've seen, and of course I know you'll talk about this a little bit more, is you're taking skills and relationships and lessons learned in one stage and you're applying it to the next. And so you're using that as a way to build.
Absolutely. It's super important. And I think that people, it's like the concept of the overnight success really took, 10, 20 years. It's a compounding effect. There's a book called The Compound Effect that talks a lot about this, but it's the small everyday actions that we take that add up over time to create large opportunities and large moments and streaks of growth. I was listening to a podcast the other day about Tony Robbins and just talking about investing in the market. And, I'm not one to ever give investment advice. However, this was a really interesting fact about the stock market. And that was that if you had not been in the stock market on just the top 10 days in the market in the past 20 years, you missed out on 75% of the financial opportunity in the stock market. Top 10 days. But because you were in every single day, you didn't run the risk of missing those. And so it's really just a small, I think it just really highlights the importance of the small everyday decisions that add up over time, and how you can, again, like you're saying, take those little learning lessons along the way and allow those things to be added to your tool belt.
Absolutely. So senior year in college, you have this moving company, you realize, okay, this is not where you want to, you don't want to build an empire of moving companies nationwide, but the online marketing, that was something that you were good at. And so how did that, what did that lead to next?
Yeah. So it led to a couple of small contracts, just doing some consulting work. I was just getting my feet wet and dipping in the water. But then ultimately led to my first very large marketing contract that actually had an equity stakeholdership as well. And that was where I was really able to kick off my career and to help some people grow a business using the skill set that I had. So that ultimately led me to teaming up with my partner now, Daniel Pope at Be Known Agency. And we, it's funny because we call ourselves not as much of an agency, more like a talent management firm, just because of the way that we structure our deals and the way that we team up with individuals and less brands. And it's really exciting work that we do. And, very, very blessed to have found my little niche. I know you were talking about, how you use time and time blocking and a principle there. One of the principles that we really believe in is Pareto's principle, and that is 20% of what you do will get you 80% of your results. I think that holds true in online and digital marketing as well. I think there's a lot of things that you can do from an online and digital marketing standpoint, but I think there's only a select few things that if you do them, they will get you 80% of the results you're looking for.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, now I know, so as much as you have focused your energy in the online space with digital marketing, of course, I know right now you guys do a lot of work with course creators, and not exclusively, but I know that's been a big focus for Be Known. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, I guess over the last 18 months, you and I know I'm going to forget some. There's a couple of y'all that have started Gravity Memphis, Gravity Networking. So why don't you talk a little bit about that? Because that's obviously not online. I mean, there's an online aspect, but really, in real life. So share a little bit about what you're doing there, kind of what your vision is for Gravity in Memphis.
For sure. It comes back again to some of the two things that I learned when I was in network marketing is one, personal development is so key. And so I wanted to selfishly start going to more personal development seminars that I was interested in. So I thought, well, I'm not really interested in a lot of the ones that are currently around Memphis. So why don't I start my own? And I just find people I want to learn from and ask them to come and speak. So like, that's the selfish side. But then the other side is the value of the network, right? How your network, it truly does define your net worth. And I thought if I create something that's valuable that I want to be a part of and participate in and learn from, I'm sure that other like-minded individuals in the same way will want to do so. So I didn't know what we were going to call it. It was actually me and Noel Fenderson sitting in the Germantown Nutrition Hub about a year ago today, probably. And we sat down and we're talking through, okay, what do we want to call this? What do we want to make this event that we're trying to create? And Noel said something like, I just feel like there's this gravitational pull between like-minded people where we just bump into each other everywhere that we go. And I said, that's it, Noel, we were going to call it Gravity. And he's like, okay, that sounds good. We'll call it Gravity. Go. And so it was really fun to work through that and to work through, coming up with a brand and a name. And shortly after we launched, and we had our first event with Bob Williamson. He was a speaker, and he's a Maxwell speaker and an executive coach with a lot of the top executives around here for FedEx and International Paper, and really, really cool stuff. And it's continued to grow, but ultimately, what we're trying to do is to provide that in-person networking experience and learning opportunity that can help people grow and can ultimately help our city grow. The idea of fostering and promoting ideas and growth. And previously to Gravity, I had been working with some other individuals to do like these entrepreneur mastermind Monday night events. And we literally did them every single night for like a year, every single Monday night for a year, and built up some notoriety for being the ones who threw and hosted these events. And a lot of that we've still been able to pull from that initial audience build, that massive action that, I had no reason to be doing that. That was while I owned the moving company. That was while I was just starting in my marketing consulting. It literally, I had no basis to go upon, but it gave me opportunity to reach out and connect with entrepreneurs who had been further, who had done more, and say, hey, look, this is what we're doing. We're really excited. We'd love to be able to highlight you and your business. Can we come on a Monday night and you share your story? You share what you do. And so it really was like a true exchange of value. And that's one thing that I think I really learned through that process, was just the importance of bringing and adding value. And so when it was time for us to launch Gravity, we already had a little bit of a basis to build on and grow.
Sure. So in talking with you, just a couple of things that I want to point out that I'm seeing, observing just in your journey so far. And number one is a willingness to try new things. Even with Gravity, I know you guys made some changes in terms of venue, in terms of the format, and really just in an effort to find out what's going to serve people best.
Absolutely.
And I think a good principle for all of us right now in particular is that we're in a season where, you know what, you may have to try something new. You might have to risk trying something, and it may not work, but it may lead to something that does. And from your standpoint, you did the moving business, but you figured out, okay, this is not where I want to stay. And you're able to take lessons learned and apply it to the next step. Another thing too is the importance of having mentors and people who you can learn from. And so that's another thing that I think is a really good thing for anybody that's in any sort of a leadership role, whether it's the primary leader, a secondary leader, a tertiary leader. And that's have people that you can go to, have a network, have a peer group, have people you can check in with on a regular basis. You and I have the benefit of that through our Vistage group, where we meet monthly for half a day. And now we're doing a check-in on the, about midway through the month. And so anyway, I think those are valuable lessons because really none of us is going to succeed on our own. Now, tell me a little bit about kind of where are you now? What are you seeing? Because I know you talk to business owners, and I'd just be interested to hear kind of your take on what you're seeing with businesses, nonprofit leaders now, and even in the near future. Or what are some of the conversations you're having? What's maybe some of the advice that you would have for folks?
It's kind of like the book A Tale of Two Cities, right? You remember that book? It's like the one city's thriving and the other city is just demolished. And it's really I mean, my heart goes out to those people whose businesses were not prepared and ready for something like this to happen. But then there's on the other side, you just can't help but be excited for the people who've been preparing and building a business in a structure in a way where when something like this happens, they're prepared to really grow and succeed. And so I've seen a lot of both. I definitely have seen the most important thing is the ability to adapt and change and try and learn and do new things. You talk about how we tried different venues and time slots and different things. Gravity Breakfast was a huge flop. Like 6 people showed up. like there was more people there that were a part of the Gravity team than there were people that were not. And it was a huge flop. It's funny though. We don't do it anymore. So
well, and it's last week we were looking when we were meeting at this curve, and it's I can't remember the name of it now. But basically it shows the process that we go through when we're having to adapt to change. And there's this initial sort of denial. It's similar to the stages of grief. There's denial, there's anger, it goes into depression, but then on the upswing, it starts to get into this experiment stage.
Yeah.
And, I think, again, for businesses to survive, for nonprofits to survive, we're not going back to normal. Whatever,
it's just a new normal.
It's a new normal. Wherever we land, it's not going to be where we were. And I saw something yesterday. It was a comment, maybe it was on social media, but the essence of it was a lot of the businesses that did exist won't. And there are a lot of businesses that didn't exist that will.
Yeah. And
I think there are a lot of businesses that will make that transition, that will adjust, that they're going to try new things. You've got to. And there's got to be a willingness to fail in order to try those things.
Yeah, I mean, and we don't call them failures, right, Steve? We call them learning
experiences. Exactly. It's steps to wisdom.
Yeah, just steps in the process. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's going to happen. I mean, we're going to see a lot of new businesses come about because of this. I mean, it's already happening. I don't know about you guys, but I would have never thought about before having somebody come and sanitize my home. But there's like a whole home sanitization industry popping up. People coming in with hazmat suits and cleaning your house. I mean, it's kind of nuts. And, lots of movement in the medical space. Something exciting that I'd love to share in the future with your audience is some work that we're doing in the PPE space and working with governments and healthcare systems just to help, and leveraging some of the networks of people that we have. Again, your network determines your net worth, and it also determines the amount of impact that you're able to have in a positive way in a time of crisis or in a time of merry time where things are going well. So
absolutely. So Trey, to kind of start landing this plane, what are some practical things that you would share? Because again, part of what we want to do is equip people with either resources, tips, information that helps them run a better business, run a better nonprofit. And whether right now, some folks are purely focused on survival and just trying to keep things moving forward. Other people are sort of, maybe they're some survival, and they're also looking at how do they put themselves in a position to thrive moving forward. So what would be some things that you would share? Just tips, tricks, great books?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna take two approaches here. I'm gonna take like the high level, like all encompassing business approach. And then I'm going to share also what you guys need to be doing from an online marketing standpoint. And I'm sure Steve will be able to back some of that up and agree, just because of what we're seeing from the data, right? There's this old saying I used to say when I was doing direct sales. It's men lie, women lie, but numbers never lie. So, the numbers are telling us something. And if you listen, if you'll listen in, they'll whisper you little secrets. But just from a high level, from a business standpoint, leading with your values is super important. Doing business with people who share the same values. For me, my faith is a huge part of the business that I'm a part of, and it's a huge part of the people that I decide whether or not to work with. Because if we don't have those same values, then we're not going to make decisions in the same way. And that was a learning experience I had very early on with some of my business relationships and partnerships. That was a tough pill to swallow, but it was super great lesson to learn early on. And so making sure that your values align with the people that you're doing business with, so that you're able to make decisions accordingly and from the same place. I think that all in all is just a great thing to consider. As far as a book, I love Gary Keller's The One Thing. I think that's a great book to go and listen to. And it's go ahead, Steve. I know you
I agree. I've got it. It's over. Yeah. I can see it from here on my bookshelf. And so that was one of the books I went through last year.
Absolutely. I mean, just figuring out what is the domino, right? The small domino every single day that you can build up the momentum of to eventually knock down and conquer the big domino, right? It's like one of those videos you've seen on YouTube or TikTok where it starts with a little baby domino, and before you know it, it's like this massive 10-foot wall falling down because it's just added up over time. Yep. So I'd say that. Now, from a marketing perspective, a lot of what we always say still holds true. Again, Pareto's principle. What are the things that you can do to get attention, to get in front of people on a consistent basis, and to build long-term success in your online marketing? Number one is building an email list. I mean, you have got to build an email list, because no matter what, people are still checking email. They just are.
Absolutely.
And they always will. And they always will continue to do that. And it gives you tremendous value there. The other thing is we've seen a consistent climb in the cost of advertising over the past 5 years, like advertising on Google, advertising on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, all of that. The cost has just continued to rise until the last month. And we've seen a 54% decrease in the cost of advertising. Wow. So advertising literally just went on sale, like with the coronavirus. And that's online paid advertising. It's on sale right now. Like it's literally not. It's never gone down like this. It's only ever gone up since the beginning of these programs and platforms, because they weren't really out in 2008. Like Facebook was not really an advertising platform in 2008. It was a Harvard dating thing, right? So so now we've seen a huge decrease in the cost for advertising, so you're able to get in front of more of your target customers at a cheaper price than ever before. And if you're not spending money on advertising, there's never been a better time to start than right now. So seeing that, and then also just creating a customer journey. And Steve's a story brand guy, so he's the one who really understands and can dive deep on this. But having a clear customer journey for the people that you are bringing in with your advertising to ultimately then build your email list is super important. And there's a lot of cool ways that you can do that. But just having that in place right now more than ever is very, very important.
Absolutely. And I think this is a good period of time. I think a lot of people have moved past sort of the initial shock of where we are and are now trying to figure out what to do with it. And I think one of those things, you mentioned the book, The One Thing, this is a really good time to think about what is it that you are doing as a business? What is it that you are trying to accomplish? What is your one thing? And I was having this conversation with a client earlier this week, which I guess would have been yesterday since today's only Tuesday.
No.
But we were talking about the why. Why do you do what you do? Why does your business do what it does? And if you have a strong, compelling why, that can go a long way towards creating connection. And that's one of the things I love about what you guys do with Gravity in particular is you've got this big vision. And I know we really did get a chance to talk to it. I know you at some point want to fill the FedEx Forum and, do this event.
Oh yeah, we're going to do it.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt
it's
not
a matter of if, Steve. It's a matter of when.
Well, exactly.
That's the thing. We anticipate, but it's going to happen.
And so we're take time, figure out what is it you're trying to do. Is the why really doesn't change significantly. That's a bedrock, but the how you do it, how you implement it, the tools you use, the what, the services, all those things are going to shift and change. So this was great, Trey. I really appreciate you coming in and sharing your story, because really the entrepreneur's journey is always changing. And now granted, what we've experienced over the last 2 months has been significant. I mean, we, in our generation, in our lifetime, we've not experienced something as impactful as all the COVID related things. But the principles are still the same. That doesn't change. Know why you're in business, have a plan, be willing to change and adapt that plan, connect with other people who can help hold you accountable, but also help you get outside of your own head. We get these little echo chambers in our brains, and don't be afraid to learn from people younger. That's one of the things that there's wisdom to be gained, not only from people that have been in business for decades, but also for people that have been in business for 6 years, 7 years. And so look for what you can learn from other people, but also look for how you can help encourage others. Now, Trey, I'll toss your information up here for anyone that would like to get in touch with Trey. If you just want to,
thank you.
I would say grab a cup of coffee, but since that, you can just grab a cup of coffee.
I'll grab one of my cold brews.
There you go. And that's not one of the leftover energy drinks from 7 years ago, is it?
No, this is Costco cold brew. It's very good.
Oh, nice.
100% Colombian, so it says.
So, you can grab a cup of coffee over Zoom or Google Hangouts or whatever the
FaceTime
choice is. FaceTime. Just do it over a phone call, whatever. But just get in touch with them. So here, the best ways to get in touch with them are LinkedIn. He was telling me earlier you said you've got an assistant who's checking that. So that's going to be the fastest way to get in touch with you. And for anybody that would like to get information about Gravity Memphis, it's great events. When events are back on the radar, then definitely keep that front of mind. But gravitymemphis.com.
Yeah, that'd be great, guys, if you would.
One of the things that you mentioned too is a little bit of a segue. So we're doing this live stream, Wayfind Marketing Live. We're doing this on Tuesdays and Fridays. Tuesdays are Navigating Business. Fridays are Simplify Your Marketing. And one of your suggestions was build an email list, get email addresses. And one of the ways to do that is use your website, have something of value. We call it a sales funnel, lead generating offers. Have something on your website that somebody would give you their email address for. So if you're interested in learning about how to capture email addresses, come back on Friday, noon, grab your lunch, grab your coffee, grab your cold.
That's a good call to action right there, Steve. That's good.
And so come back and
That's
we're going to talk about what are the 3 components of that online sales funnel so you can start capturing those email addresses. And you're absolutely right, because I think people that have had a list of email addresses, even if they weren't marketing to that list with any regularity, when something goes down, well, you've got a group of people who have, they know you in some form or fashion, even if it's just enough to give you their email address at some point. So you've got an audience that you can then begin communicating with. Yeah. So if you don't have one, get one. And we'll show you how.
The other side of that is too, and just another tiny little nugget, make sure that you get their cell phone number if you can, or just phone number in general. Very, very valuable. People love text message marketing, whether they admit it or not. They always open it.
Yeah. And you definitely want to get the opt-in.
Yeah, give them an option, right? Say, hey, if you want,
would you like to get? Yeah, absolutely. Ask for permission.
There you go.
Well, thank you, everybody who has joined us. Oh, hang on. It looks like, let's see.
We have some comments. Can't see because I'm on my phone.
Yeah, somebody just commented. Said, Rusty said, invite Trump to speak and fill the forum. Haha. Yeah, I think we're going to stay out. We're going to stay away from political leaders being
Rusty,
there.
if you don't mind sending me Trump's number, I'll reach out. Oh. I'll connect.
And that's funny. You just went dark for just a minute there. So like the screen went blank.
It's because I'm playing with my phone, trying to look at the chat, and I accidentally left the.
Well,
I'm not going to do it anymore.
I didn't know if that was the chat or if NSA all of a sudden was putting a block on your on your.
Oh yeah, they heard me say the T word. So
but yeah, so just quick shout out. You can keep up to date with us, wayfindmarketing.com/live. Links to our Facebook and YouTube. Obviously, some of you guys are already there, so please subscribe on YouTube. If you just go to YouTube and just search for Wayfind Marketing, you'll find us. Subscribe, you'll get notifications. All the recordings from each of these live streams is there. Past episodes, we've got some daily marketing tips that are there. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Wayfind Marketing. We would love to stay in touch with you guys. And you can also drop your email address into the form at the bottom of our page, and we'll email you information about these live streams. Was that enough calls to action, or did I do too many, Trey?
I think it's good. Just make sure you guys come back to learn how to get those email addresses on Friday at noon. You don't want to miss that. That's big.
All right, guys. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And nice. Rusty just came back. Well, that was very kind of him. Rusty provided the address for President Trump. And so 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, just said send a letter. I'm sure you'll hear back in a couple of days. FedEx it. That'll stand out.
There we go. Anyways. Thanks, Rusty. Couldn't do it without you, buddy.
That's great. All right, everybody. Thank you. Have a great afternoon, and we'll see you back here on Friday at noon. Conquer the day.